Good day, good people. Today I am back with another video in the fasting series that I've been building, creating. So today's video, the question is, should you have sex on a fast? Well, there's a short answer and then there's a long answer. So if we address the short answer essentially is no. During a fast, very simply, your energy should be at a minimum. I mean, you certainly have like highs and lows, peaks and valleys, but even when you have those highs or those peaks, it's not necessarily the best idea to use that energy, even if it's, especially for that act. Definitely the whole idea of a fast is to heal, is to rejuvenate, is to, basically allow the body to have a break. So like food, we are giving ourselves that break. And food and sex are the pleasures of life, number one, but they're also the nourishers of life as well. And the thing is that we want to, the reason why we fast from food, is like also the reason why, a fast from sex or abstaining is a good idea as well, because basically what you're trying to do is, the reason why you fast among the many reasons is preserving the body. And by giving that your digestive organs, which work really hand in hand with your sexual organs, that relationship is important because when we look at food and we look at sex, they're really so similar. They're the two, outside of things that we need for basic survival. When we take basic survival, air, water, and then from those basic survival needs, obviously food is right up there, and then sex is definitely not far behind. These are the things that either can really build and allow us to, become basically godlike, if we treat them right and if we utilize them in an ideal way, or they can destroy us. So we fast from food to revitalize the body, to regenerate the body. Yes, food is a nourisher, so it's like, common sense would tell us that then we need to eat. We need to never fast. However, once we understand that we often eat too much, and then we eat too much of the wrong foods, food residues build up in the body, and in order for the body to work at its most optimal level, those food residues need to be eliminated from time to time. It's just, again, the same thing. I use the analogy of constructing, or let's say cleaning out a building. If you want to clean out a room or a building, it helps to remove everything out of that room before you clean it, or at least move things, to the side, or take something out, whatever. And the body is really similar, because the only way, you can't keep putting in, like say if you want to bring in new furniture, you got to remove the old furniture before you bring in, to make space for the new furniture. So really, that's the whole thing, is that when we bring in the new, better food for us, we got to allow the older food, and the body can't do that simultaneously. at least not in an optimal way. Even on a raw food diet is a detox diet to a certain extent, because a raw food diet, obviously you're getting a lot of nourishment, but if you're not eating mostly fruit on a raw food diet, then you're eating like lots of greens and lots of nuts and seeds and healthy forms of fats like avocado and olives. Those are very nourishing foods. They don't necessarily allow the body to detox. Now, it will detox. It will just detox at a much slower rate. But I find that even myself, being on a raw food diet for now 15 years, it's important for me to fast. When let's say I don't fast for a few months, or I don't fast when my body knows when it's time to fast, like I may have congestion, I may have little aches and pains, little stiffness, little ailments, little messages that my body is sending me that is telling me time to fast, time to stop eating, allow the residues, and I really like to use that term, residues, because especially when we're eating foods that are less than ideal for human consumption, residues are left, and the body needs to sort of feed on those while we're doing a fast. So and talking about sex, again, sex is something that nourishes us on a certain level. That intimacy, that affection, that physical touch is healing, and it's revitalizing, and it's nourishing. However, we can certainly overdo sex. We can and that in and of itself can become draining, especially if you're not practicing conscious sex. And by conscious, I mean, like, at least for the men, you definitely don't, if you're not trying to impregnate a woman, you shouldn't be letting, it's not necessarily the best idea to allow your seed to excrete or to have an ejaculation. So in this video, I'll probably touch on a few things that get into sexual kung fu, or tantra kind of things, and or Taoist principles, and it's important to understand this because there's layers of living. There's the food thing, but then obviously when you create a vital body, you create a body that will raise its sexual appetite. Sex is a measure in terms of your appetite for sex is a measure of your vitality. When your body is healthy, then you have an appetite for sex. The same thing as if you have a healthy appetite for food, then that also is a good measure of your vitality. When you are ailing, when you are sickly, when you're riddled with disease and sickness, your appetite, naturally the body has that intelligence to shut down the appetite. When you shut down that appetite, that's your body's signal, don't eat, let me heal. So again, in my last video, I talked about how we extending, when we're fasting beyond 24 hours, and we're going 3 days, 5 days, 7 days, and beyond, we're extending that fasting, we're extending that healing cycle, which is that 8 hours that we go to sleep at night. And we're allowing the body to again rejuvenate, revitalize itself over a longer period. So with sex, there are a couple of things I wanted to just bring out in this video, in terms of because there are some differences obviously with men and women, and our bodies, what's happening. I mean, yes, we are very, very similar, but there are some differences obviously. So what are some of those things? And again, we're still addressing the fact that, because I do want to talk about the exceptions to the rule, and there are some exceptions to the rule. However, for the most part, we want to basically lay down a foundation that, we want to take a break, and we want to say, like, look, the food is going to be there, the sex is going to be there, with our partner, our spouse, our loved one, etc. That's going to be there. And basically, it's like you want to sort of build that pressure in the body because, with sex, because let's say, let's first piggyback to what I was just saying just a few seconds earlier about how the body, we're extending that sleep healing cycle, and that basically, with healing, because again, if we're in a situation where, because being on a fast is almost like, being, dealing with a health situation. So when you're dealing with a health situation, again, your appetite for food and your appetite for sex is just not there. Let's say if you are, really feeling vibrant and healthy and energetic, okay? So we really want to take that into consideration. Now, in terms of the whole male-female dynamic, again, this really is addressed more at the females in terms of your detoxing, because obviously, we all know females with the females, basically, you already have a natural lunar detox cycle. Your period, your menstrual flow, your unfertilized egg releasing, and that there's a detox along with that. Now, for some of you women, I mean, obviously, as a side note, if you're having a flow and lots of cramping and lots of irritability and emotional mood swings, this is already a crisis situation. Your flow, your goal should be to get it to 3 days or under. A lot of women I know who are following mostly raw or raw, or pretty much, I've heard of some women who may just simply spot. Obviously, that's like, I think that's probably the pinnacle or the apex. And then you have women I know who go maybe 2-3 days, but then I would assume most of the women out there are, or maybe 90% of the women out there are definitely 5 to 7 days. And then it's not even just the 5 to 7 days, it's the PMS a week before, there's the cramping, there's the pain, and just all of the things that don't have to be, because you're releasing an unfertilized egg. So that's something just for the females out there, definitely encourage you. And really, fasting should be something that you do every time you have your period. Just to, I mean, if you're fast, if your flow is usually a week or 5 to 7 days, if really the thing that you should be doing is coordinating your fasting with that cycle, because there's no way that your cycle should be that long. Nonetheless, whether you're on your cycle or not, I mean, most people are not having sex. Most women are not having sex while they're on their cycle. So really, when you are doing a fast, again, you may not be bleeding, but you're going to be detoxing. And your vagina is maybe not going to be the most welcoming, if I can say that. So there may be, odors, scents, mainly that. And again, it may make it less than ideal for you to be opening up that to your partner. So definitely want to be mindful of that. So that's a reason. For the men, obviously we don't have that as an issue. But again, as men, we're trying to, again, improve our vitality and improve our sex function. If we improve our sex function, we're naturally improving our vitality. So with that, if we do it in a systematic, cyclic way, and we're doing it with intelligence and with reason, then we're on the right track. And the thing is that it's very healthy to abstain for certain periods, just in the same way that it's healthy to abstain from food. So during this time, it gives our body a chance to really kind of revitalize itself. So not only are we improving our digestive function, but we're also improving our sexual function just by the very nature of giving it a rest or giving it a break. So with that, I'm going to go ahead and go into some of the exceptions. I mean, what are the exceptions? Well, if you're doing a shorter fast, and this is something that you're regularly doing, and it's a regular practice, then you may not be your body may not be in such a detox state, or it may not be detoxing as much. Just like if you were to wake up in the middle of the night and have sex, again, you may not be your very best or your most energetic in the morning. However, if you do it and you plan for it and, you do it within reason, then you won't be so affected in the morning. Same thing. Again, you want to just be mindful, and if you're doing, again, like if you're doing a shorter fast, you get a pass in a sense that, especially if you are, it is a lifestyle, it is something that you practice on a regular basis, then okay, it's not going to be as, or potentially damaging or draining, I should say. And one of the things I think I had missed, talking about, especially for the men, like I said, that and this really kind of feeds into the exceptions as well, is that as men, you can, we also have the ability to what we call ejaculate. So if you're going to be having sex during the fast, I would recommend that you not even ejaculate. I would just recommend that if again, if there's a reason to engage in that act, then ejaculating or definitely not ejaculating. That is definitely something that you do not want to do. But ejaculation, okay, if it happens, it happens. But I would suggest that you don't even ejaculate, because at least with my experience, even though ejaculation is like a recycling of that it's I mean, you're actually, for those of you that are not familiar with ejaculation, basically you are either pressing a point, or you have an orgasm, but there's no semen or ejaculate that's spilled. So basically that gets recycled back into your body, and your body can actually use that, and it doesn't end up being as draining as if you did ejaculate. The Chinese say that one drop of semen is equivalent to 9 drops of blood. Or they say that another comparison is that one ejaculate has the amount of nutrition of 5 nutritious meals. So this is not something that we want to be spilling. So with women, women are losing vitality with the long menstrual cycles. Men are losing their vitality by over ejaculating. So if you're going to have sex during a fast, that's the last thing you want to do. And I'm even saying you don't even want to ejaculate, because I find that even though, again, there's no comparison between an ejaculation and an ejaculation. However, in qigong, when you practice qigong, there's thousands of forms, thousands of forms of qigong. But with qigong, at least with like organ qigong, which one of the goals of organ qigong is creating pressure around your organs. And by creating pressure around your organs, that is essentially protecting your organs and giving your organs, that security, and that so basically, with that protection through breathing exercises, there's tapping that you can do. There's slight movements that you do along with your breathing and your stance and your postures and your meditation that is revitalizing your organs, that is strengthening your organs. And the thing is that we got to think, ejaculation, that those are the seeds that produce offspring. So there's a tremendous amount of nutrients, vitality that we want to, again, if you're trying to, produce offspring, then doing a fast is not the time to be trying to produce offspring. So you want to plan your family planning around your fast, and you don't want to have them fall around the same time. So, however, in terms of the exception to the rule, is that we may engage in that, but again, definitely not ejaculating and not ejaculating. And just, you may be asking, well, how do you ejaculate? Well, that goes beyond the scope of this video. I will say that there is a pressure point that you press. That's one way to do it, and that is definitely the simpler way to do it. And the other way is to through practice and exercise, certain exercises, internal exercises, just like stopping your urine if you're urinating. Use those same muscles, PC muscles, as they call them. You can strengthen those muscles to a point where you actually can stop your ejaculate. Now, this doesn't happen overnight. It takes months, maybe years of practice. And but if you're diligent, just like anything else, you can get there. And it actually makes sex more pleasurable. It makes your orgasms more intense. But again, these are not the things we want to be doing during a fast. If we're going to be having sex during a fast, first, obviously your partner, and this is for you females, again, what I addressed earlier in terms of your own cleanliness, internal cleanliness. If your house is dirty internally, then your vagina and what's going to be coming out, specifically in terms of your odor, is going to potentially be offensive. And I don't mean to offend anyone. I don't mean to create a graphic picture, but it's just calling it how it is. And we just have to we have to do better and be better. And but like I said, with the exception, and let's say you've been doing this, and you practice, whether it's a mostly raw or all raw diet, if you're detoxing on a regular basis, then I would say that it may actually produce the reverse situation where your vagina is smelling very sweet and it's smelling like flowers, that kind of thing. So that should be the goal for the ladies. The ladies, and I mean, obviously you want to be smelling like that all the time, but it starts on the inside. So that's just another challenge, for the ladies. So with that, and then as men, because see, what happens a lot of times, because even though I say basically to not have sex during the fast, for men, what can very well happen is that because, when you are fasting, especially if you're taking in, whether you're doing a water fast or especially a juice fast, this is how, when we look at the digestive function in relation to the sexual function, there's a very strong connection, especially with our kidneys. So if we're fasting, imagine you bringing in fresh juice all the time as your only sustenance. That is, you're obviously going to have improved kidney function. When you have improved kidney function, you have improved sexual function. So during a fast, it could potentially increase your sexual vitality. It will definitely can also strengthen and make your erection that much stronger. So again, you say, well, should I not, do this? And again, these are some of the exceptions. And if you're going to do it, even though that may be the case, it's still not the situation for you to ejaculate or even ejaculate. Okay. All right. So basically, those are the things that I wanted to cover. I will also say that, obviously with a fast, should be a very inward time, reflective time. It should be a very meditative time. And really, with sex, we really need to, take a page out of the Tantra books and the Taoism books, and really start to get into the mental and the more spiritual aspects of sex, in terms of the sex that actually happens before the actual physical act. So, whether it's foreplay, massage, Reiki kind of techniques, things like that, things that we can do without actually engaging in the physical acts, which are very, if not more is than the actual act of intercourse. So this is probably in a very ideal time to, with your loved one, your partner, is to, have this moment or moments where, you're sitting in certain positions, whether it's like on the floor or on your yoga mat or your meditative cushion. This is the time to practice and to really get into that. To get into the act of trying to send energy to each other. Or to be doing, sort of kind of a group meditation. And it can be intimate in terms of like a physical embrace, but there's just no lingam entering into the yoni, So So this is the time to, again, you have people like, these, people like Osho, and, people who have shown that, they can create orgasms in women without touching them. So I think with, during a fast, this is also the times to, challenge ourselves and see if we can, send those vibrations, send that love, send that energy to our partner back and forth without the act of physical touch. So this is also, something that we should be doing in place of the actual physical act in and of itself. So with that, I'll leave you with that. Again, I would love to hear your comments, your feedback. We're getting a lot of positive feedback, or if you challenge what I say, it's all good. Just would love to hear from you. Keep watching. I'm gonna keep doing videos.